Hello, welcome back to Jacob's Books Corner, where we are switching. Oh my god, Alfalfa, I'm so sorry, it's there. We're kind of switching up where I'm recording at. I'm actually in a pretty far place away from my actual bookshelf, which is really interesting. Normally I would try to have a book element, which I do. That's what she is. She's my book element. But it's new. If you're watching my weekly vlogs, and the newest vlog that will be going up next week, I actually create the space in that vlog. So, either way, we're here to describe my weird rating system. I've made one video in the past, which I'll try to link up here, kind of describing my rating system, and it's practically the same, but it's on a different channel, so you guys have to kind of go searching for it. It's a little weird. It's on, it's on a whole different YouTube channel and things before I moved over, but also, if I try my best, totally get up in the cards for you. And that was how I rate my books. So, we're going to start with 0 stars, and we're going to work our way up to a perfect 05. I do give books 5 stars. I don't have a 5-star read, I don't think. Oh, I do have. I have one 5-star read over here. But, yeah, so we're just going to work us through, like, my patterns and different things like that. So, my 0 stars. What don't I rate? I don't give a book a 0-star rating. If I don't like a book, it gets a 1 star, and then I'll list in the title if it's lower than a 1 star. I've never given a book lower than 1 star, if I'm being honest. Even a book in here is, I think, a 1-star rating on Goodreads. So, I do have a selection of books to kind of point out, but books I don't rate. Autobiographies, memoirs, nonfiction, and or children's books. I do rate middle grade being specifically towards, like, Keep the Lost Cities and different things like that. Does have a wide appeal since it is a fantasy and different things like that. I have a middle grade on my collection that I'll probably be reading, but I read that for pleasure. I read a lot of children's books dedicated to smaller kids, such as the ages of, like, 5 to 9, and that's not really made for me. It wasn't, I do enjoy them 90% of the time, but, like, I'm not gonna rate Cutie Corn. I'll rate that a 2. My little sister will rate a 5, so, like, we're on a different system here. So, like, I'm not gonna put that on my Goodreads because it's not worth it to the author. I just say I read it. And so those are the books. I don't rate memoirs because that's somebody's life. Well, I don't have the privilege to rate your own life. You wrote this. You were brave enough to put me that story out there, even if I thought it was boring, or even if I thought it wasn't, but it's your life. I mean, I'm happy your life was boring. You know what I mean? And so, like, I'm not trying to be that ass. So, yeah. Autobiography, same thing. It's somebody writing about somebody else's life, so I'm not going to judge them on that type of thing. I don't rate those stories. I think I've given stories in the past 4 or 5 stars, but I have been trying to trickle back around and trying to not rating them at all. If you've already rated something on Goodreads, you cannot take back your rating, like, from the system. By what I mean is, like, let's say I give someone 4 stars, but I decide I don't like rating these things anymore. I can't just say, I don't want to rate you anymore. You're a 0 star. You can't go back to 0. You can go down to 1, but you can't go back to 0. It's really weird. It's annoying, one would say. But those are my 0 stars. Those are the star ratings that I just don't rate. I don't rate middle grade or anything below it because it's my audience. The author wrote this for a specific group of people, and now I will rate some middle grade. It's a little weird, but if I'm reading it with my little sister, I'm not my little sister. I don't get the same enjoyment out of it as she does. The enjoyment is reading it with her. Picture books and things, I try not to rate. I did have a 5-star picture book. It made me cry. Emotions gonna pop up here a little later, but yeah, that's the point. Let's see here. What else do we have? And like I said, lively stuff. And nonfiction I don't rate because I'm not you. If you're writing a nonfiction book, I'm gonna take. Oh no, please don't. Sorry. If you're writing a nonfiction book, I'm assuming right now that you know exactly what you're talking about. That's why someone decided, okay, you can write this book. This is the book that you need to write because it's nonfiction, because you have been studying it for decades or whatever, however long you might have put your whole life into it. Who knows? And so I'm going to take the courage of trusting you and not giving you a rating because of the fact that I trust you so much, and I don't want to discourage you by saying this was boring as shit. I hate nonfiction. I do. I gave it a 1 star because I hate it. Not because of the material, just because I hate nonfiction, so, yeah. That's 0 star. Okay, 1 stars are overall just horrible books. These are books I deprave. The books I don't recommend to even my worst of enemies. 2 stars, you get a recommendation, worst enemy. 1 star, I wouldn't put you through that pain because I had to go through it. I've only read a few of these in my life. There's only been a few. I do have one. Hold on. Where is she at? I talked about her enough on this channel, but we'll talk about her again. Ironically, I read this almost a year ago now, and it just feels like yesterday, but it's been a minute. And that is The Claiming of Sleeping Beauty by Anne Rice. This is a 1-star read because I read it. That's the whole reason why you give it a star, because I spent the time, the 6 hours, to read this book, because I had it read to me. It would have been shorter probably if I would have read it myself, but like, I spent the time. And since I went through the pain, I give you a star because I didn't DNF it. I mean, I have several books that I could point you to that are just not vibing with me that I would probably rate a 3-star, but I'm DNFing. They're not even a 1-star book. That's just not vibing. So 1 stars are interesting. I read 2 this year that I would count as between a 1, a 1.5, and a 2. Now, what is the difference between a 1 and a 1.5, people ask? And so let's get into that. So this is a 1-star. This is a terrible book. The problem here is that actually I'd probably rate this a 1.5 now that I'm thinking about it, because the writing isn't bad. And so I guess that's the point here. I hated the book so much that it gave me a migraine for 2 days straight. Yes, the pain I put myself through for that vlog, I tell you. But I gave me a migraine, and so it was like a 1.5 experience type of thing. But the writing itself is not bad. I've read other Anne Rice's before, such as The Vampire Chronicles, or whatever that stupid series it's called by her, with the Interview Vampire Queen and damn stuff. I've read that whole series, and so, I've read Anne Rice before, and I liked it. And so the writing here is not terrible. The subject matter is horrible, and the book itself should not be read. But of course, this is more or less my own personal opinion and how I feel about that. But that makes it 1 star, okay? Because I hate it. It's in my top 10 worst books of all time. The 1.5 comes in because the writing was good. I felt it, okay? So that's what makes a 1.5 star. So for instance, The Boys of Brayshaw High is a 1 star because I didn't think the writing was good. I didn't think the story was good. I didn't think the characters were good, and I hated my whole experience. I'm realizing books I can read in one sitting, I tend to not like. So, because I guess I don't want to devour them. And then a 2 stars, such as Pennies, which I didn't... Oh, hi, dog. Oh, he spooked me. I did enjoy, but I didn't care for. I wouldn't recommend, personally, Pennies, because it was an uncomfortable, boring experience, and that right there screams a 2 star to me. The writing was fine. I enjoyed myself while reading. I never thought this was horribly written. I thought certain things were bad, but, not horribly written, not like Boys of Brayshaw High. And then you also have things like, for instance, right now, I'm currently in the middle of a book. I'm pretty sure it'll be a 2 star. I'm holding out because I have hope, and, maybe it'll be a 3 star. I don't know, I see it going past that, but you never know. And that is the, 10 Boys I'm Dating, or The Guy on the Left is what it's called. And that book, it's a perfectly well-written book. It's fine. There's some very cringeworthy things in it, but it's fine. It's not horrible, and I am enjoying myself. So, it's a 2 star. It's nowhere above a 2 star, so it's a 2.5, one would ask. I do have certain things in between a 2.5 and, a 3, like a 2.25, a 2.75, whatever it might be. And those are, we're going to talk about one. But it's all based on, opinion. I don't know if I've ever given a 2.5 before. A 2.5 is really weird, because 3 is, average. 3 is, that rating that you would give if it was, okay, you enjoyed yourself, you weren't mad you read it, but it wasn't making you cry, it wasn't blowing your mind, it didn't have the best plot twist, it was what is that book called? What is that? I have a 3.25, so I can't use that as an example. What is that called? Oh, no. The first Riley Stakar he ever wrote, Final Girls. That's a 3 star. I had a great time reading it. It was interesting. It was intriguing. I would recommend it. Whole 9 yards. It was fine, but not my favorite. You know what I mean? And so I think that's important. And also, I want to mention that, for instance, Final Girls, it might not be rated 3 stars on my Goodreads now. If you go back and fact check me, maybe it is now, because I fact-checked myself, but at the time, it could have been a little bit higher, like a 3.5. I tend to rate higher initial rating, and then I back up a little, or I raise higher, as you're going to see with some of these examples. But yeah, but that's a 3. A 2.5 it's still horrible, you know what I mean? but it's readable. I would personally recommend. You're not going to hate yourself while you read it. The writing must be a little bit better. There's certain things about it I don't hate very much. Maybe it has a really good trope in it that I really love and that I just want to support, and so you get a 2.5. I don't ever round up on Goodreads though. If it's 2.5, you get a 2-star. If it's 3.5, you get a 3-star. It's just what it is. Okay, moving into the threes. Like I said, the 3-star, it's an average rating. It's clear the line. It's like Final Girls. It's a great book. I enjoyed myself. I, didn't make any of my lists, my top 10 lists or anything like that. It's probably my least favorite Riley Sagar. I had read, or maybe, I don't know, his first two are a mixed bag. But if we want to get into some really weird stuff, let me pull out some books here. Oh, I just read a 3-star. Eliminate Files. This is a great example for a 3-star. Now, most people I know rate it a 5, so judge me as you will. And, spoiler for my April wrap-up, but I rated this a 3-star because I thought it was an okay book. It did everything it needed to do. There's not a part of this book that I thought was lacking. The media portion of it I thought was lacking for being mixed media. But overall, I thought it was a really well-crafted, really interesting, kept me on the edge of my seat book. But it was nothing better than that, and some people would say that's a 4 or maybe even a 5-star rating. For me, it's not for me. I felt a 3 in my heart. Alright, let's talk about weirdness. So, Queen of Nothing. I can't really talk about why I rated this a 3.25, but we can just say disappointing, And I think that's initial. This is a third book in a series. This is the final book in a series. I don't believe there's any more in this world. If so, please let me know in the comments down below. I would love to read them. But, I think The Coldest Girl in Darktown is what it's called, or Fairyville or something like that, might be a part of this world. I'm not sure. If so, let me know. I'll read it. But with this book in general, it was coming off of a 4.75, which is almost a 5-star. And with Queen of Nothing, I do have a review. I'll link it somewhere. It's an interesting example because it's a 3.25 because I was disappointed because the book was anticlimactic. There's a lot of problems with it. I didn't really enjoy myself. I thought it was an okay read. It was very fast. But I still, I enjoyed myself to a point where I finished it and I was pleasantly surprised. But also I was not satisfied at all. But there's a few interesting things in here that I did like. It's weird. It's a weird rating. A 3.5, once again, it's about the same. It's where, it's like if I would have enjoyed that just a little bit more, it would have been a 3.5. This is so hard to explain. How do people explain their rating systems, I tell you? Either way. And a 3.5 is that. It's not amazing. It's not like, okay, 4 stars, which we'll talk about. I don't have a direct 4-star, but I have many in between 4 stars. Great for us. Pretty Girls is a great 4-star example. Such a good book. I enjoyed myself so much. It was so well crafted. But I had major issues with the novel itself. And so I think that falls away into, bigger things. And that's the same thing I would say with the 3.5, is that I'm still enjoying myself a lot. The writing style is, it's good. I like it. I'll read more of the author. It also piques my interest to read more. Ironically, I don't probably want to read any more Holly Black, but I like the 3 books I did read from Holly Black. One of them did get up into the 4s. 3.5 was The Cool Prince. It was an okay book. I mean, and I think overall, it doesn't matter what you rate in the 3-star range for me personally, it's going to be an okay novel. It just depends on how much my enjoyment is and what my level is. And now, that can change on daily moods. I could really love a book, but also hate myself at the same time, and that could ruin the score. It's just the truth, and, it's biasness, whatever. But I've had books in the past that people are like, oh, you didn't get that a 5-star? What's wrong with you? And I'm just like, I just wasn't feeling it. And it might have been I wasn't feeling myself, and so the book took it. And, now we're going on a tangent. Anyway, back up. Reroute. So the 4-star. Can you tell I didn't note this? How I should have? I should have been more clear with my notes if I wrote them down, which I did not. Cool. Love that for me. Either way, with the 4-star in general, it's just weird. It's weird in a way that I don't know. Not 4-star, 3.5. Anything in the 3s. So with a 4-star in general, a general 4-star, I don't have one. I think I listed off one to you. Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. There was problems with it. The book itself made me cry. It did everything it was supposed to, hit all the emotional beats, but the actual beats of the story I felt were muddled in. That makes sense. It's not a 5-star read. Ironically, I've never given Karen Slaughter a 5-star. The only one that's ever came close is Karen Slaughter's The Good Daughter, which is still my favorite. Spoilers for an upcoming video as soon as I finish Coptown. Anyway, so let's jump into the weirdness that is 4 stars. Because I have 2 books here that are on both spectrums of the scale. We have Again But Better by Christine Rico, which I am going to be reading again in May. I just got done reading it, but I'm going to read it for its anniversary. And this was a 4.35. Could I tell you how high? I don't think I could. Then we have The Wicked King, which is a sequel to Holly Black's The Cruel Prince, which is a 4.75. And I still don't understand why these are rated this way. I rated them this way. They're rated on Goodreads as a 4.35, even it's a 4.25. It's weird. That's all I remember. And this is it's between a 2 and a 4. Okay, it's not a 4.5. I can tell you that much. And this is a 4.75. It got so close. Do I remember why I didn't? No. And I think I even said that in that video, but it's documented, so I have proof. Jesus. Okay. Either way, what makes these different? Enjoyment, I guess. I don't know. Once you get past the it's an okay book, this is beautifully written. I love the main character. I related so well to the main character and the problems with family and different things like that. But the twist in it, which makes it again better, I felt could have been better. I thought there's a lot of things that could have been explained better and things like that. That's why it's a 3.25. It's weird. It's a weird book. It deserves a weird rating. It's my personal opinion. Who knows? On second reread, it could be less or higher. You never know. With Wicked King by Holly Black, though, it was, in my opinion, for some weird reason I couldn't tell you, it was practically perfect. But it wasn't. I don't understand. These are not reviews of these books. I'm just using them as examples. I want to make sure that's clear. Like, these are just books that I've rated to have much more of a example for you. It's a 4.75 star. What is that? What is that rating? What is that number? No one understands. I don't understand it. I'm trying to explain it to you while explaining it to myself, and it's a mixed bag here. Just know that I really, really love it. If it's a 4.5 or above, you definitely should be reading it. Automatically pick it up. Read it right now. It moved me. It did something. For instance, this was an excellent second book, which is weird. I thought this was the best one in the whole Cruel Prince trilogy, and you know what? I still stand true to that, and it's the only book I would actually reread. Alright, moving up into those spectacular ranges. Now, for instance, The Good Daughter, which I was going to bring over here, I do own it. I didn't want to dig through it. But, that didn't reach the final rating. I don't really know why. It hit almost every mark, and every time I think about The Good Daughter, I still think it's a 5-star. So, eventually, I'm sure I'll up it up there. A book that is a 5-star, that is no longer a 5-star, but it's a great example of a 5-star, is Winger by Andrew Smith. I read this in high school. I was a junior in high school when I read Winger, and it changed my life and my love for reading. It also has some pretty tabs. It's from my previous reread. I didn't get super far into it, probably like 100 or so pages, but I still enjoyed myself. There's problems with the characters, but I think everything is really well out, and 5-star is a perfect book in my opinion. It's like a masterpiece, which is why I don't hand them out very often. Like, for instance, I'm reading an advanced reader copy of the Anti-Virginity Pact, which I'm going to be talking about way too much on my channel, but you deserve to read it if you want to read it. It deals with some very sensitive topics, but that's probably going to be a 5-star. I'm only 40 pages in, or like 20 or 30% into the novel. I don't actually have a direct page count, but I know for a fact that this is probably going to be a 5-star read, just with that much percentage into the novel, because it's amazing. It makes me cry. It's beautiful, and I just love it so much. And there's just how just want to explain this. This is my explanation. I love 5 stars. They're masterpieces in my own eyes. Take your opinions, and that's fine. Okay, I think that's it. I think that brings us to the end of this video. Thank you for being on this 20-minute rant, I guess. And this is how I rate my books. How do I rate my books? Well, this video will explain it. Or maybe I have much more concise thoughts in that